go ahead and open up your book to page 820. Calculations and expressions, build expressions, step 1. So you have begun to analyze your analysis by creating a query using the properties and agents table from the property database. The properties table contains all the properties the investors will evaluate. The agents table contains a list of real estate agents who represent the property sellers. In this exercise, you will add requested fields and only show properties that have not been sold. You will then build an expression to calculate the price per square foot for each property. You'll refer to figure 3.12 as you complete step 1. So we'll go ahead and open up A03H1 property. And again, I've already downloaded the files and have them, but if you haven't, they're available to you within Canvas. Okay. And then you notice again, I get a security warning so I can enable the content. And save it. So we'll go up here. So before we do anything, we'll go up here to File. We'll go to Save As. So we want to save it as a database. And then we'll go ahead, and for me, like I'm saving on the desktop. And I'm going to go ahead and call this A03H1 property underscore last first. Whoops. Okay. All right. And then it says to go ahead and open up step B on 821. It says to open the agents table and replace the name Dilson Herrera with your name. So we'll go over here to the agents table. And then we find record agent ID 5 is Dilson Herrera. So we'll change that. We'll put in your first and last name. Okay. Close the table. So we can just go up here, right click on the tab, hit close, close the table. All right. So step C, it says to click on the Create tab in the ribbon, and then we can go down here to the query design. In the queries group to create a new query. So we want the agents table. So we'll go ahead and choose the agents table. That was already selected. And then we want the properties table. So we click on it and then we hit add. We're done with that. We have those two tables. That's what we want. So we'll go ahead and hit close. And then what I want to do is go ahead and double click step E. It says to double click the first name and last name fields for the agent. So notice that it adds it down here at the bottom to our query. And then double click on the list price. So we add list price, and again, that'll be from the properties table, the square foot, so SQ feet, and the sold fields. Okay, so then if we hit up here again under the Query Tools Design Run, then it'll give us those records. Okay, notice now that you'll have a total of 303 properties appear in the results. So then we'll go ahead and go back to Design View. So again, we're on the Home tab, we'll click up here under Views. Remember to go back to the Design View. This time what I want to do is under the sold for the criteria, I want the ones that are not sold. So I'm going to type in no under the criteria. Okay. So then if I go up here and I hit run again, it's only going to show me those properties that are available for sale, and so that are currently still on the market. and there are 215 properties that are unsold. So that's fine. So then we'll go up here, we'll click save. What we're saving now, remember, isn't the entire database. It's just going to be this particular query. So this time we're going to call it price per square foot. All right. So we'll click OK. So now you notice then that we have another query added that's called price per square foot. All right. So now what we want to do is we'll go back. We're going to go ahead and make some more changes to this. So whoops. Okay. Okay. So we'll go back up here to the design view, and that's step I. And this time what we want to do is we're going to click in the first blank field. We're going to right click there and we're going to choose zoom. And then in the zoom window, you're going to type the following. You have to make sure that you type it exactly as it is. So price per square foot per SQ FT and then a colon. And then list price slash SQ feet. And then click OK. All right, and so what that, and then Access went ahead and displayed the square brackets around part of that. And that tells it then that it's going to do something. So then if I click run, you'll notice then that it gives the price per square foot. Now, if you see pound signs in an Access column, you can double click on it in order to make the column wider. Again, very similar to what you did when we're discussing Excel. So then what we can do then is we can go ahead and close the query. It asks us if we want to change save the changes to the design of the query. We do, so we'll hit yes. Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go on over to page 822. We want to go ahead and do something else. So step 2, format fields. Dawn and Matt would like the field formatted with 2 decimal places, because you saw there it had a lot of numbers after the decimal point. Okay, so we will change the format to currency and add a caption to the calculated field. Refer to figure 3.13 as you complete step 2. So we'll right click on the price per square foot query. We'll go down here to copy. And then we'll go ahead and just right click on a blank area in the navigation pane and hit paste. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call this price per square foot formatted. So we're going to make a copy of the query we had. We're going to save it with another name. So now we'll go ahead and open up the price per square foot formatted query in design view. So to open it in design view, then we'll click here. Opens up in design view. So then we can click on the price per square foot calculated field cell. That's this last one right here. And then what we can do is click on the property sheet. So right click and go to properties. And so it'd be for that particular field. And then for format, we can select currency. And then down here for caption, we can type in there price space per space SQ space FT, period. All right. That makes it a little bit more friendly for us to see. And then we can press enter, and then we can press run. So we notice now that it's now called price per square foot. And we now notice now it gives us currency dollars. And then we can look at the text. We can look here. We see that it's how we want it. And so it's fine. So we'll do then is we'll go ahead and save our changes. So we can just click on the save button up here. That saves the query. So now if we flip on over to 823 step 3, recognize and correct common errors. A few errors arise as you test the new calculated fields. You check the spelling of the field names in the calculated fields because this is a common mistake. Refer to figure 3.14 as you complete step 3. So we'll go ahead and click on design, takes us back here to the design view. We'll go ahead and click on the first blank cell. And then we'll right click on the first blank cell. We'll go to zoom. And this time we're going to type in the following: wrong price per SQ feet, and a colon, X list price, and then /X square feet, SQFT. And then if we right click and we go to properties, we see that. And then we want to go ahead, and you're doing the X's because we want to show you what would happen if you were to actually make a mistake entering this. Okay. So then we'll change that. We'll go ahead and change again the format to currency. And then for the caption, we'll type in there wrong price per SQFT. Close the property sheet. We'll hit run. Notice now it comes up parameters X list price. So then you should see this enter parameter value box. It's because Access doesn't recognize X list price in the tables defined in the query in the first record. When Access doesn't recognize a field name, it asks you to supply a value. So they want us to enter in there 100,000, enter, and then for X square feet or 10,000. So you notice now that every single one is going to be $100 per square foot. And the reason for that is because all of the records show 100 because you entered the values 100,000 divided by 1,000 respectively into the parameters box. The two values are treated as constants and give the same results for all the records. Well, obviously that's not correct. That's not what we want. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go back in here to design view, and we'll go up in here into our formula, and we can right click and go to zoom. We can go ahead and get rid of these X's. And then if I hit OK, so then there we go. So then you see now that it's going to give us the correct value because we fixed it. Okay. And then we can go ahead and save the query. So if we click up here and save it. Okay. So now we're on step 4 on page 824, evaluate results. Because you are in charge of the Access database, you decide to verify your data prior to showing it to the investors. You use 2 methods to check your calculations: estimation and checking your results using Excel. Refer to figure 3.15 as you complete step 4. And so we have it open already. And actually, we'll close out of the formatted one. We're done with that. We'll go back over here to the price per square foot, that the first query that we did. And if we look over here at the price per square foot field, one of the ways to verify the accuracy of the calculator is to ask yourself if the numbers make sense. So if we look at the 13th record, that's the one with Philip D. Franco as a listing agent, and asking price actually the seller, actually my second record. But anyway, you see that that does make sense. Okay, so then you know that it's probably working correctly. And list price should be sort of descending. There we go. All right. But there's another way that we can check. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up a blank Excel sheet. And then what we'll do is, so we've opened up a blank Excel sheet. We'll go back into our Access database and we'll go ahead and choose the first 10 records. So we've done that, and then we'll hit copy, and then we'll go over here to Excel. We'll hit paste. So we see our first 10 records. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on cell G2. We'll enter equals C2 divided by D2, and then press enter. And then what we can do is click on copy, and then go ahead and select the rest of them, and then paste. So what that'll do, that copies the formula. Again, notice, remember, it's going to change accordingly. So we see then that we get the same thing back the computer did. We know that that's correct. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, go up here to File. We'll go to Save As. So again, what you'll do is you'll turn in the last Access database for the chapter, and then you'll turn in this Excel sheet. So I'll go over here to the desktop, and then I'll go to AOM 30, Access, Chapter 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and call this AO3 H1 Property Check underscore last first. And then what we can do then is we can go ahead and close Excel because we're finished with it. But that's one way that you can validate, make sure that it makes sense. All right, class. So go ahead and flip on over to page 832. And so this one we're going to learn how to use the expression builder and functions. So we've done some functions already, but we'll go ahead and continue on with that. So step one, use the expression builder. So you will create a copy of the price per square foot formatted query that we used in the previous hands-on exercise and paste it using a new name. You will add a few more calculated fields to the new query. You will add one calculation to determine the price per bedroom for each house. You will create a second field to calculate the price per bedroom. Okay. Per room. So per bedroom and then per room. For this calculation, you will assume that each property has a kitchen, a living room, a dining room, and then the number of listed bedrooms and bathrooms. The calculations you will create are shown in the figure 3.21, and the expected output is shown in 3.22. Okay, so you see that. We have the things there, and then we're seeing how it'll be. All right, so we'll flip over, and then we'll flip on over to 833. So what we'll do is, and yeah, I fill the air. It's awesome. Okay, is we'll go over here. We'll go to File. We'll go to Save As. And then we want to again save it as an Access database. It tells me that all objects have to be closed. That's fine. And that's fine as well. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and call this A03H2 property. I'm going to get rid of the 1 there. I don't know why it had that there. So there we go. All right. So now what we want to do is to create a copy of the price per square foot formatted query. So we'll go ahead and click on that query. We'll right click and then we'll hit copy and then we'll go down and paste just like we did earlier. This time what I want to call it is we'll call this list price calculations. And you'll see that in step B. Here now we have 3 queries. All right. So we'll open up the query in Design View. So what I can do is just right click on that query and go to Design View. And this time what I want to do is go ahead and click the wrong price per square foot field, which was right here. So I can notice how my mouse arrow, it had the downward pointing arrow. Click on that. That selects that entire field. And then we can go up under the query setup and hit delete columns because we no longer want that. So now what we'll do is under the price per square foot column, under query setup, we have builder. So we'll go ahead and click on builder. And then we see the function here. And let's see. Click. Okay, we did that. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and double click on the price per square foot field name. This time we're going to call it price per BR. So that's what the name of the field will be. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and double click on the SQ feet field of the expression, and then we'll press the delete key on the keyboard. Okay. Okay, we did that. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will go ahead and click the plus sign next to the A03H2 properties last first database in the expression elements box to expand the list. So we see that under expression elements right here. So that's our database, and then these are all of the different things that are there. Then we'll go ahead and press the plus sign next to tables. We see the tables then listed. So we see we have 4 tables listed. And then we'll go ahead and select the properties table. And then we see here all of the different fields that are in the properties table. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and double click on the beds field. Notice now that the expression now reads price per BR colon, and then we have the field list price divided by properties exclamation point beds. Okay. What we can do is go ahead and highlight the properties exclamation point prefix. So you can use your mouse to select that in front of beds, and you can press the delete key. Okay. Now the expression now reads price per BR colon and then list price divided by beds. As the beds field name is unique within our query, the table name, which was the properties, is not necessary. Removing this makes the query easier to read. If the field named beds appeared in more than one table in our query, removing that, the table name would cause issues. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll press, and I just want to make sure, yeah, we go. Make sure there's not a space there. So then we'll go ahead and hit OK. And then we go ahead and hit run. So then we get, notice the column heading still reads price per square FT. Also note the column's contents are formatted as currency. Those settings were copied when the query was copied and from what was there before. Okay, so we'll go back over here to design view. And then we'll go ahead and right click, go to properties for that field. And then notice over here in the caption, we'll go ahead and change that now to price per bedroom. Okay. And then we could go ahead and close the property sheet. And then, okay, we did that. We can run the query, examine the changes. So if we run the query, we'll notice now that it now says price per bedroom, and that's what we want. Okay. So now we'll go back over here to design view again. We'll select this entire expression. So we'll click here. In that field, we'll select all of that. And then we'll right click on the expression. We'll hit copy. And then we'll go ahead under the next field. We'll right click and hit paste. So we copied the expression so that it reflects the price per bedroom, assuming that the kitchen, dining room, and bedrooms and bathrooms will make up the number of rooms. So we're going to edit now. So then we'll go ahead and go up here, back up here to Builder. And now this time, what we need to do is under the price per BR, we're going to change that to say price per room. Because that'll be the name of the field. And then we're going to add an open parenthesis before the beds. So we'll click right before the bracket on beds, and we'll put in an open parenthesis. And then we'll add a plus sign after the closed bracket. Okay. And then under our database right here, we'll click on that, and then on tables again. And then we'll go ahead and choose our properties table. This time we want baths. So we'll go ahead and choose baths. And we'll double click that to add that in. And then it says to add another plus sign after that, add in the 3, and then the close parenthesis. And then for step S, it says to delete the properties exclamation point portion of the expression. Because again, we don't need that because again, baths is unique to our database. There's not another field in another table called that. So we can get rid of properties, and then we can hit OK. And so you see there in your book what it should be. It should say price per bedroom and then a colon. And then within square brackets, it should say list price divided by, and then again, the open parenthesis, beds in square brackets plus baths in square brackets plus 3 close parenthesis. Your final formula is the list price divided by the total number of rooms. The total number of rooms is the number of bedrooms, which is in the beds field, plus the number of bathrooms found in the baths field, plus 3, which is a constant number representing the kitchen, the dining, and the living room. So then we'll go ahead and under the show hide, we'll click up on the property sheet, and then we'll go ahead and click. For a caption, we'll go ahead and call this price per room. And then for format, we'll go ahead and change that to currency. And then we can go ahead and close the property sheet. And then for step U, it says to go ahead and run the query. So I'll click up here, run. So we notice we have price per bedroom and then price per room. And then we can save and close the query. So we'll click on the save button, and then we'll go ahead and close. So remember when I did that, clicked on the save button, I didn't save the entire database. I saved just the query. The query is part of the database. All right. So we're going to do one more thing here. Step 2, calculate a loan payment with the PMT function. Dawn and Matt feel like they are close to making an offer on a house. They would like to restrict the query to houses that cost $190,000 or less. They would also like to calculate the estimated mortgage payment for each house. You create this calculation using the PMT function, which we've used before when we're talking about this in Excel. You make the following assumptions. 80% of the sales price will be financed, a 30-year term, monthly payments, a fixed 4% annual interest rate. Refer to figures 3.23 and 3.24 as you complete step 2. Okay, so then you can go ahead and turn on over to page 835. So we'll go ahead and make another copy of the price per square foot formatted query. So we'll right click and then copy, and right click and paste. And then for the query name, we're going to call it mortgage payments. And we'll click OK. All right. And then we'll go ahead and right click on the mortgage payments query, go into design view. And then we'll go ahead and likewise, step C, it says to delete the wrong price square foot field. So we'll do the same thing. Notice how the mouse arrow changes. We'll click that. We can just go up here and click delete columns. Okay. All right. So now for the list price under criteria, so notice you have criteria right here. We'll type in there less than or equal to 190,000, because we're looking for the query that we run only will show houses that cost 190,000 or less. All right. And then we'll go over here to the first blank field. We'll click on Builder. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on Functions, the plus next to Functions, and then we'll go ahead and select Built-in Functions. And then we'll go down here again to Financial. And then we'll go over here under the expression values. We'll choose PMT. So we'll go ahead and double click on PMT. Notice then that it gives you this and it prompts you then to know what to type in there. So we'll go ahead and position the insertion point before the PMT function. And then we'll type in there payment and then a colon. So the expression now reads payment colon, payment, and then, or PMT, and then open parenthesis, the rate, comma, number of periods, comma, present value, comma, future value, comma, and type. So then if you go over to page 836, we're going to click on each argument. So each one of these, rate, number of periods, present value, future value, and type, those are called an argument. Okay, that's fine. So, okay, thank you. All right, So each one of these, remember, is an argument. And so what we'll do is for rate, we're going to go ahead and double click on rate. And then we'll go ahead and type in there 0.04 divided by 12. Because remember, that would be 4% as a decimal is 0.04. And then we want to divide it by 12 in order to get the monthly rate. The number of periods, we'll double click on num underscore periods. We'll put in there 30 times 12, because remember that it's going to be a 30-year loan, but there's 12. We want to get how many payments in total they're going to make. So they're going to make in total 360 payments in total. Okay, and so then for the present value, we're going to type in there in a square bracket, list price. And actually, it's suggesting that that's the field I want, so I can go and double click on that to take the suggestion. Multiply, which is the asterisk, by 0.8, because 0.8 is 80%, okay? And then for the future value, we'll go ahead and change that to 0, and the type, we'll go ahead and change that to 0. So now, again, note that the loan is a 30-year loan with 12 payments per year, hence a calculation for number of payments. Also, Don and Matt plan on financing 80% of the cost, putting 20% down. Therefore, you will multiply the list price by 0.08. Okay. All right. So then we'll go ahead and click OK. And then we can go ahead and click on the property sheet. And then we can change the format to currency. And then, okay, so that's all we need to do there. And then we can go ahead and run the query. So notice then that it gives the payment as a negative number in parentheses, and then you'll edit the formula to change the negative value to a positive, okay? But we see it's called payment. That's what we want. So then we'll go ahead and right click on the mortgage payments tab. We'll go down here again to design view, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go back up here to builder. Then we'll add a minus sign to the left of list price. And then we'll go ahead and hit OK, and we'll run the query again. So notice now that the payment now is going to be a negative value, a positive value. Okay. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and save our query, and then we can go ahead and close the query, because now we're finished with that. We'll go ahead and keep this open because I'm going to go ahead and move right on to exercise 3. All right. Which is our last exercise. Appreciate you guys hanging in. And this one's actually pretty short too. Pretty simple. And again, this is some of this is kind of a repeat of what we've done before in previous chapters of Access. It's just a little bit more in depth. And then also some of it is very similar to what you did in Excel. So a lot of this should be, so a lot of this should be coming back to you, right? In terms of what we did. Page 844, hands-on exercise 3. Aggregate functions. So the investors decide that it would be helpful to analyze the property lists they purchased. Some of the lists do not have homes that match their target criteria. The investors will either purchase new lists or alter their criteria. You create several total queries to evaluate the property list. So step 1, display a total row for the query. So you begin your property and list analysis by creating a total row in datasheet view of the mortgage payments query. This will give you a variety of aggregate information for important columns. And again, you can refer to figure 3.34 as you complete step 1. So first of all, we'll go ahead and resave this again. So we'll go up here to File and Save As. And again, save it as an Access database. And this time we'll call it A03H3. Okay, so it went ahead and resaved it. And then we'll go over here to the mortgage payments table, and then we'll right click on it and open up in the design view. And this time what I want is for our 5th column, I want to add in another field called listing field. That'll become our 5th column. So it should be right here. So right in between square foot and sold, we add in the listing field. Okay, and the other columns then will shift to the right. And then we can go over here to datasheet, or to run, brings us to datasheet view. And then what we can do is under records, you have totals. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that. So then we'll go ahead and click on page 845, step D. Click the cell that intersects the total row and the list price column. So right here. Then we'll click on the arrow and we'll choose average because we want to find out what the average list price is. We find out that the average list price for all properties is $167,100.47. All right, and then under the listing right here, we'll click on that cell, we'll click on the arrow, and we'll go ahead and choose count. So we find out that we have 32 listings. And then for step G, finally, on the price per square foot column, we'll go ahead and choose that. We'll click the arrow. We'll choose average, and that would be $102.10, and that gives you the average price per square foot. So we want to compare that with the figure. It's correct. So then we can go ahead and save the query. So we'll go up here, hit the save button, and then which we could have done it right there too, and then close the query. All right, step 2. On page 845, create a totals query and add grouping and conditions. So you create a totals query to help Dawn and Matt evaluate the properties in groups. Refer to figure 3.35 and figure 3.36 as you complete step 2. So this time what we'll do is we're going to start from a completely brand new query. So we'll go up here to the Create tab, and we'll go ahead and choose Query Design. And we'll go ahead and add the Properties table. So I'll just double-click on Properties in the list. There it is. I'll make this a little bit bigger. And this time what I want is I want the sales price and the sold fields. So sales price and sold. So we'll just double click on those. That adds it to our query. And then we'll click on step D. It says click totals in the show hide group on a design tab to show the total row. So we'll go up here under show hide totals. So that adds totals group by. So for sales price, we'll go ahead and click the group by arrow. And we'll choose average. And then under sold, we'll choose under group by, we'll choose where. And then for the criteria, we'll type yes. Because we want to find out what the average sale price is for the houses that have sold. All right, so we'll go on over to 846. And so then we'll go back over here to the sales price field. We'll click on that. The property sheet, we see that on the left. If not, you can click under Show Hide Property Sheet. And we're going to change the format for the sales price to currency. And then we'll go ahead and hit Run. So then we get that the overall average of $280,299.50 for sold properties in the database. And then we'll click the Save button. Because we haven't saved it already, we need to save it. And we'll go ahead and call this Overall Results. And we'll click OK. And then we'll go ahead and close that query. All right, so now what we'll do is for step I, we'll go ahead and go again back up here to Create Query Design. And this time we want the properties table. So we'll go ahead and add the properties table. And then we'll go ahead and add the lists table. So we make those available for our use. And then, okay. And so under the list, the name of list field, we'll go ahead and add that to our query. And then we'll add sales price, listing, and sold fields. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so we did that. So then we'll go up here, Show Hide, we'll add totals. Notice then that it adds that to our query. So then for the total row for sales price, we want average. So we'll go here, Group By. Under sales price, we'll go ahead and change that to average, ABG. And then for listing, we'll go ahead and change that to count. And then again, under criteria, oh yeah, and then sold. So we'll go over here to sold. So we'll choose where, and then under criteria, we'll say yes. Because again, we're just interested in the property that were sold. And then we'll go over here to the sales price field. And again, if the property sheet isn't already on the right, you can go up here, Show Hide, and then Property Sheet. So we want to go ahead and change the format for that particular field under the sales price. We'll go ahead and make that currency. And then we'll go ahead and click on listing. We'll change the caption there. So we'll go ahead and click over here to caption. We'll call that number sold. And then we'll go ahead and run the query. And you can widen the columns as shown. But I'll notice that houses for sale has the lowest average sales price. As Dawn and Matt are hoping to focus on inexpensive properties, they can focus on properties offered by this source. Notice also that the query results show the number of properties sold in each source. In addition to the average sales price, this helps to determine which sources are more efficient. And then we'll go ahead and save our query. We'll call this Results by Realtor. We'll go ahead and hit OK. All right. And then we'll go ahead and keep this query open because we're going to use it for the next step. All right. So we'll go ahead and go on over here to 847. Step 3. Add a calculated field in a total query. So a previous query shows the average value of the properties by realtor. However, Don and Matt learned at the seminar they attended that the longer the property has been on the market, the better your chances of negotiating a better price. You'll revise the query to show on average how long each realtor takes to sell a house. Refer to figure 3.37 as you complete step 3. So what we'll do is we're going to go up here to File and then to Save As. And then we don't want to save the database again, so we're going to go ahead and click Save Object As. So we want to make sure that Save Object As is selected. We'll hit Save As. And then we want to save our query with a new name, and we're going to call it, we'll get rid of where it says Copy of Results by Realtor. We're going to call it Results by Realtor Revised. All right, so then we'll go ahead and click OK. So you notice here that we have Results by Realtor, Results by Realtor Revised. Okay. So then we have the Home tab, and we have, we'll click Total in the record group. And then for the number sold, we'll click on the arrow and we'll choose Sum. So that's the total number of houses that were sold, which is 88. All right. And so then if we go into the design view, we'll go ahead and click on the blank column. And we'll go ahead and type days on market. And then colon, and then square bracket. We want date sold, close bracket. Minus, and then square bracket, date listed. Square bracket. And then again, for total group by, we'll change that to average. So the days on market field will show the average number of days on the market that each sold listings. And then again, for the property sheet, we're going to go ahead and change the format to fixed. Then we can close the property sheet. And then we can go ahead and run our query. So we see that houses for less had an average of 23.5 days on the market. Since this is in line with the competitors, it lets us know that they're neither fast nor slow with sales. And then we can go ahead and save and close the query. So if we go to close the query, it asks if we want to save changes. We say yes. And then we can go ahead and close access. So what I'd like for you to turn in is A03H1 property check. Last first, that's the Excel sheet. And then A03H3 property last first, which is this Access database. And that's what you'll go ahead and upload to Canvas.